This one I use the mold, but then I'm gonna show you some other tricks so it doesn't look just like it came out of the mold. So you can manipulate it so that it adds a lot of more detail. You can carve a little bit and add some movement to it, and it looks really nice. So this is a hibiscus right there, and this is a tropical leaf. I don't even know what this one is. Doesn't look like a monstera, but on this other one I am gonna use a monstera leaf here. I'm just gonna get a piece of that clay, and I'm using a brownstone, speckled brownstone clay from High Water Clay, which is a real nice speckled clay, speckled brown clay, a little darker, slightly darker than the one that I used before, which is a standard 112. Just gonna use my roller, and I don't want to make it too thin because I'm gonna squeeze on this. So as you squeeze, the clay is gonna come out anyway. So if you make it too thin, it might break. It might still break. This clay is a little weird because I found that it breaks or it cracks easily. So I have to be careful. Before I press it into the mold, I'm gonna put just a little cornstarch. I just dab the brush and make sure it's in there. Because it's 3D, it's a little harder to come off. So that's all I'm doing. So that's all I'm doing, is pressing it. And I'm holding while I'm pressing because it tends to move if you don't hold with your other thumb. It has like very nice, it shows the veins of the petal. It has very nice details on it. And I figure it saves me a little bit of time, even though I still like to carve, but adding these, it's like, I don't know if it's called cheating a little bit, but for this purpose here, I don't care because I still do a little carving and sculpting. But you see the excess? This is just the cornstarch showing. So all I'm gonna do with an X-Acto knife is cut that. And I do have a lot of carving tools here with me because I do a lot of carving. You don't have to use these tools that I have. You can kind of use what you have, because I even have some tools that are like for just these simple tools for fondant, I think, that you buy at Michael's. Those can work too. Just smoothing out the edges now. And I like to curve each petal, curve it down a little, because that will probably be the attachment points onto the mug. Just gonna add a little water because I did see some little cracks, a little bit. Maybe the clay was a little on the drier side, but that's fine. So this is the mug I'm gonna use. I'm just gonna spray because I don't want it to dry. I'm gonna put it aside for now. If I was just adding the flower, I could just do it now, but I'm going to, besides the flower, I put it there. I'm going to do the leaf couple leaves, I think. Now, these are molds that I bought from Amazon, I believe, or Temu. I can't remember now. I have a mixture here. See if it's big enough. Now these, I wasn't too crazy about it, but it's almost like a cookie cutter. It was kind of hard to come off when I did the other one. So I am gonna try a little cornstarch here and see if it releases a little better than when I did the first time. That was the first time I used this to do that other mug that is already done. That was the first time I used these. I'm gonna see if it's gonna release easier. Let's see. Now this is the part that I was having problems. Just have to be careful, I guess. Removing these because it's got the cutouts. On the leaf. And it didn't cut through all the way. I think the other one I did it a little thinner. This one is a little thicker. I am just making it more wet so that it attaches easier onto the mug. Now, before I did mine earlier, so I am gonna add some details on the leaf. So this is where you can make it your own by adding some more details. So I am gonna make this tool here, but it can be anything that comes to a point. It can be any sculpting tool. Just making the main middle vein. Then I'm adding the other ones. As you can see, it has more details. And I'm shaping also the way I want it to be this way, falling from the handle, which is on the right. And then this is gonna be like that. So put that aside. Next one. Next one is gonna be a monstera leaf. I just made it so that it shows just a little bit of the lines, but I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. onto the mug. Now I have to see the location where I want to put it. So what I can do is cut part of that monstera like that. Just adding some water. Don't let your clay dry. Just creating like a slip right in here. Now here is the part that you can do, add some movement to the leaf. This is a little rubber tip tool. I'm just gonna raise this part just a little, just to create some movement there. Okay, like that. Now I'm gonna add just a little bit of slip right here, because that's where the other longer leaf is gonna go. Typically, if the clay is pretty wet, you won't need to add slip, but just to ensure the attachment is pretty good, I'm doing it. So you see how one is on top of the other, even though you can't see the part that I just cut off. And then the same thing, I'm gonna add some movement to my leaf. And that comes after you attach. Make sure it's really good, has a real good attachment, at least in the middle part. Making sure I'm not distorting my mug here by pushing it too hard. Once you attach, you finish attaching that you're comfortable, that is pretty good, you can start cleaning up and adding some more detail. This also helps attaching. I really like these rubber tip tools here. I use them a lot, even for carving. And then once it dries a little bit more, I come in here and I carve. So I'm gonna carve this leaf here. I'm gonna carve to make the real deeper veins. But I wanted to give you an idea of how I go about making it my own. And I didn't used to use molds before. I did it all by hand, but now I think this really helps, and you're still doing it, making it your own. It's just helping you get things a little bit quicker, and you're still making it your own. I'm still carving, so I can still carve another leaf underneath here, which I will post once these are done. I will make a post so you guys can see what it looks like. Add a little slip, because that's where the hibiscus is gonna go, right there. Score the bottom. I'm gonna want to cut a little bit so that it makes a little room for the handle. So it's right at the edge of the handle, and it's not interfering with the handle itself. It's not like on top. Okay. Let's see if I can do it like that. So all I'm doing is I'm pushing it a little bit, just make sure it's really attached well. And what I like to do is curve the petals a little bit so it's not, it will minimize the chances of breaking in the future if you're washing it, or I like to add a place of attachment on the mug itself. Just right there. And then you can come with your rubber tip tool and clean it a little. And the detail on the leaves, you can actually accentuate it later. Same thing with the leaves. Just wait until it dries a little bit and come back and add some more detail. So then I come in, it's pretty well attached, but I like to come in and right in the center. This is just a wood carving tool that I have, so anything that has a point, go right in the center, push it, because that way it's really going through that leaf and creating a real good attachment. And then this is by no means cleaned up right now, but what I like to do is do a better definition of the petal, each petal. So that creates a good center of the hibiscus. And so like I said, this is still kind of rough looking, but as it dries, you can come in, clean up, add more detail, you know, using any carving tool that you have. I use diamond core tools because I do a lot of carving, but they are really good. They're always really sharp. I have all different ones, so for something like this, I would use the one that comes to a point like that. And I add the veins of the leaves, and then the petals, I add more detail. But you see, you can't do it when it's too wet the way it is right now because it's real sticky. So you usually wait until it dries more. But you see what I meant? Like, I wanted off the handle, that way you can use the handle with no problems, with no, you know, it's still pretty comfortable with not touching the flower or anything like on the way. So you can still bend this one a little bit more there. I like to make sure that there is nothing on the way of something that you're using, a functional mug, that it's not, you know, there's nothing here on your way that's gonna like be touching, be uncomfortable on your fingers. So this might be a 3-finger mug. But you see that little curve there? I love that. Gives a nice place for you to put your finger and rest. That's it. And again, this is one that is finished but only has the hibiscus. Look how pretty it looks. I hope you enjoyed, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you like my content, and thanks for watching. Bye bye.